On the 7th of August, 1944, paper rains from a black sky over the walled city of Saint-Malo. Leaflets: "Leave now. Depart to open country. In an hour, the American bombers will erase this place." In a tall, crooked house on the Rue Vauberel, a blind 16-year-old girl kneels over a tiny wooden model of her own city, her fingers finding one particular miniature house, the one that hides a stone a dying man would kill to hold. A few streets away, in the cellar of a ruined hotel, a white-haired German boy of 18 lies buried in the dark with a radio in his lap. They have never met, but a voice once traveled the invisible air between them, a voice that said, "Open your eyes and see what you can with them before they close forever." This is the story of how that voice pulled two strangers on opposite sides of a war toward a single room, and of what it cost them both. Rewind 10 years to Paris. Marie-Laure LeBlanc is 6 years old, and the world is going dark. Congenital cataracts steal her sight completely, and the city she loves becomes a country of sharp edges and fear. Her father, Daniel, is the master locksmith of the National Museum of Natural History, keeper of every key to every lock in the building. He walks her through its halls, and there she hears the legend that will shadow her life. A blue diamond called the Sea of Flames, with a drop of red fire at its heart. Whoever holds it, the story goes, will never die. But everyone they love will suffer misfortune, one after another, in unending rain. It is only a fairy tale, her father insists. There are no curses. There is only luck, good or bad. But somewhere behind a triple-locked vault, the real stone waits. Marie-Laure's blindness could have made her a prisoner. Instead, her father builds her a way out. Night after night, he carves a perfect miniature of their neighborhood, every house, every storm drain, every bench, and sets it before her. "Run your fingers over it," he tells her. "Memorize it." Then he walks her out into the real streets and lets her get lost, again and again, until the day she leads him all the way home without a single wrong turn. He never tells her the world is safe. He tells her she can learn it. "I will never leave you," he promises. "Not in a million years." She is his immerveillement, his wonder. And in his workshop, she learns the lesson that will one day save her life, that a person can build, in total darkness, a world entirely full of light. 900 kilometers east, in a German coal town called Zollverein, another child is building his own escape. Werner is an orphan with snow-white hair and a mind that bends toward machines. He and his little sister Judah live in a children's home above the mines that swallowed their father, and the same mines are waiting to swallow Werner the moment he turns 15. Then one night he finds a broken radio in an alley and coaxes it back to life. Suddenly the cramped attic fills with voices from Paris, from Verona, from distant seas. For a boy who owns nothing and expects nothing, the radio is a miracle. Proof that an invisible world exists just past the edge of the visible one, and that a clever boy might just reach it. Late at night, turning the dial, Werner and Judah find one broadcast they return to again and again, a Frenchman's gentle science lessons for children, carried on shortwave from somewhere far to the west. How does the brain, which lives in total darkness, build for us a world full of light? The voice asks. It teaches them about coal and fire and the electromagnetic spectrum, that most of light, mathematically, is invisible to human eyes. And every lesson ends the same way. Open your eyes and see what you can with them before they close forever. Judah loves the wonder of it. But Werner hears something more dangerous, a promise that knowledge itself could carry him up out of the cold dark forever. He does not yet know whose voice it is. He does not know it will one day both condemn him and redeem him. Then the world Werner dreams of escaping into arrives with tanks. June 1940, Germany invades France, and Paris empties in terror. The museum's directors face a nightmare. The Sea of Flames cannot fall into Nazi hands. So they do something clever and cruel. They commission 3 flawless fakes and send 4 men fleeing in 4 directions, each carrying a stone. None of them told whether his is the real one. Daniel LeBlanc is one of those men. Wrapped in cloth in his coat rides a blue diamond that may be worth a kingdom, or may be worth nothing at all. He takes Marie-Laure and runs, not knowing that he now carries either a priceless treasure or a legendary curse, straight toward the one city where both of them will be trapped. Father and daughter arrive at the sea-walled city of Saint-Malo, at the tall, narrow house of Marie-Laure's great-uncle Etienne. Etienne is a gentle, haunted man who has not walked out his own front door in 20 years. The First World War broke something in him that never healed, but his house holds a secret. In the attic, beneath the roof, stands a powerful radio transmitter he built as a young man with his brother Henri. And here Marie-Laure learns a truth that stops her heart. Those science broadcasts, the ones that taught a German orphan to open his eyes, those were Henri's voice, recorded before he died in the last war. A dead man has been speaking across the years to children who never knew his name. The invisible light, it turns out, runs both ways. Back in Germany, Werner's gift finally opens the door he's been praying for. He repairs a powerful man's radio, and word spreads of the white-haired boy who understands machines like a prodigy. He is offered a place at Schulpforta, an elite Nazi military school, a golden ticket out of the mines. All he has to do is pass the entrance exams and say yes. He says yes. Jutta is horrified. She has heard what these schools make of boys. But Werner tells himself he is only choosing science over coal, a future over a grave. He does not let himself ask what he is choosing to become. It is the first small surrender, and every surrender after it will be a little easier. Schulpforta is beautiful, and it is a machine for breaking souls. The boys are drilled, starved, and taught one law: the weak are prey. Each morning, a commandant makes them hunt down the slowest runner among them and beat him. Werner survives by keeping his head down and his gift useful. But his one friend, a dreamy, bird-loving boy named Frederick, cannot make himself look away from cruelty, ordered to throw a bucket of freezing water on a dying prisoner. Frederick refuses. "I will not," he says. Just that. And for those 3 words, the school turns on him and beats him until his mind is gone forever. Werner watches and does nothing. Frederick had told him the truth once. Your problem is that you still believe you own your life. Now Werner knows he never did. Meanwhile, a predator is on the move. Sergeant Major Reinhold von Rumpel is a gemologist in the German army, and he is dying. A tumor is spreading through him, and he has become convinced that the legendary Sea of Flames, the stone that grants its keeper eternal life, is real and findable. He has already located 3 diamonds. 3 of them are fakes. Somewhere out there is the 4th, and von Rumpel means to hold it before the cancer takes him. His father's words drive him forward like a whip. See obstacles as opportunities. Cold, patient, and running out of time, he begins to trace the stone across occupied France toward a locksmith's daughter in a tall house by the sea. For a while, in Saint-Malo, Marie-Laure is almost happy. Then a letter summons her father back toward Paris, and on the road, the Germans arrest him. The charge is meaningless. The result is total. Daniel LeBlanc disappears into the prison system, and the promise he made, "I will never leave you, not in a million years," is broken by men with rifles. A few letters make it out. Then nothing. Marie-Laure, blind and now half-orphaned in an occupied city, has lost the one person who taught her how to move through the world. But her father built better than he knew. The girl who once needed his hand to cross a street is about to discover she can carry his courage without him. The fight comes to the tall house through its kitchen. Madame Manic, Etienne's fierce old housekeeper, has quietly built a network of the city's women, grandmothers and widows who misdirect German trucks, snarl their paperwork, and pass messages under the noses of the occupiers. "Don't you want to be alive before you die?" she asks Etienne, who trembles at his own front door. For a long time, he refuses. But when Madame Manic falls ill and dies, something in the frightened old man finally breaks the other way. He climbs to his attic, powers up the transmitter he built with his dead brother, and turns Henry's radio into a weapon of the resistance, and his blind grandniece becomes his courier. Werner's cleverness has made him valuable in the worst possible way. His unit roams the Eastern Front in a truck, using radios to hunt down enemy transmitters, and Werner is the one who finds them. He tells himself he only does the mathematics. Other men pull the triggers. Then, in a raid on a house, a signal came from. A soldier fires into a closet, and a child falls dead. a child Werner's numbers had led them to. Something in him goes silent after that. The boy who once believed knowledge was pure light now understands that he has become one of the invisible forces that destroy people in the dark. He is very good at his work. That is the horror of it. In Saint-Malo, the tall house has become a heart of quiet defiance. Each night, Etienne reads strings of numbers into the transmitter, hidden inside recordings of music, and the coded bearings travel out to the Allies on the very same invisible waves that once carried a science lesson to two children in a coal town. Marie-Laure walks the cobbled streets to the baker, a blind girl no soldier suspects, carrying folded messages baked inside a loaf of bread. One ordinary loaf, please. She is terrified every single day, and every single day she goes. Somewhere in the dark, her grandfather's old sign-off is coming true in a way he never imagined. Open your eyes and see what you can with them before they close forever. Marie-Laure cannot see it all, and she has never seen so clearly. By the summer of 1944, it feels like the tide has turned for good. The Allies have landed in Normandy. Liberation is coming. The broadcasts from the tall house are helping guide the very bombs that will break the occupation. For one bright moment, it looks like the good people are going to win. Cleanly, they are not. Two shadows are converging on Saint-Malo at once. Von Rumpel, gray-faced and months from death, has finally traced the sea of flames to Marie-Laure's family and comes to the walled city to take it. And Werner's radio unit, pulled back from the collapsing Eastern Front, is billeted in a hotel just streets away from the girl whose grandfather's voice raised him. The bombers the resistance called down are already in the air. Now the story catches up to where it began. The bombs fall, the city burns, and in the chaos, Marie-Laure is alone in the tall house with a monster climbing the stairs. Von Rumpel has found the model of Saint-Malo her father built, and he knows the tiny wooden house at its center hides the diamond. Marie-Laure slips into the attic through a hidden panel behind a wardrobe, the real stone now in her pocket. And there she does the only thing she can. She switches on her grandfather's microphone, and she reads aloud, Jules Verne, 20,000 leagues under the sea, sending a blind girl's voice out into the burning dark, not knowing if a single living soul can hear it. A soul can. Buried in a collapsed cellar with the giant Volkheimer after a shell brings the building down on top of them, Werner turns the dial of a damaged radio just to keep himself sane, and out of the static comes a girl's voice, reading a story on a frequency he has known since childhood. It is the same wavelength as the science broadcasts, the same house, the dead grandfather's signal, alive again. He is here, Werner realizes. He is right below me. For years he has used the radio to find people and destroy them. Now, entombed and dying of thirst, he uses it to find one person he might save instead. When Volkheimer blasts them free with a grenade, Werner walks toward her voice like a man walking toward light. Werner reaches number 4, Rue Vauberel, and climbs into a nightmare. Von Rumpel has cornered Marie-Laure in her own house. Werner raises his pistol and shoots the dying man dead. The first time his gift for finding people is used to protect one instead of hunt her. And then, at last, the two children who were connected by invisible waves before either knew the other existed stand in the same small room. He is German, she is French. The war says they are enemies. They share a can of peaches, a sunrise in his mouth, and pass a book of birds between them. I am not killing you, he tells her. I am hearing you. On radio is why I come. They have less than a day together. It is enough to change what each of them believes a life is for. When a noon ceasefire opens a gap in the fighting, Werner leads Marie-Laure out of the burning city to safety. At the sea grotto her family has always kept, she does something quietly final. She sets the little model house, the diamond still locked inside it, down into a tidal pool, and gives the sea the curse she never wanted. Whoever finds it, finds it. She keeps the iron key to the grotto gate and presses it into Werner's hand. Then they part. No promises, no kiss. Just two people who found each other in the dark and now step back into the light alone. She will carry his memory for 70 years. He carries her key and walks out of her life and into the last hours of his own. Here is where the tender story turns and refuses to comfort you. Werner is captured by the Americans within days, feverish, half-starved, his mind coming apart. He wanders one night out of a hospital tent and into a field the retreating Germans had seeded with their own mines. One step, and the boy who spent his whole life reaching through the invisible air towards something better is gone, killed by his own side's hidden violence. He never sees Marie-Laure again. He never grows up. His last confused thought is a child's question about the light. The war does not reward his one act of goodness. It simply takes him the way it took millions, quietly, pointlessly, in the dark. The war ends, and the survivors are left to carry the dead. In Berlin, Werner's sister Judah lives through the terror of the invading army and the collapse of everything she knew, and receives 2 letters that cannot even agree on where her brother is buried, as if his death cannot be pinned down. In Paris, Etienne and Marie-Laure wait at the great railway station for Daniel Leblanc to step off a returning train. He never does. There is no reunion, no restored family, no tidy justice. There is only a blind young woman deciding, in the ruins, that she will study the sea creatures she loves and build a life anyway. The people who taught them how to be good are gone. What those people planted is not. 30 years pass. Volkheimer, the giant who once blasted Werner out of a tomb, now a lonely man who repairs television antennas, comes into possession of the small canvas bag Werner carried to the end. Inside is a wooden model of a house. He cannot keep it. He finds Judah, a math teacher now, with a family of her own, and gives her the bag, and tells her that her brother, at the very end, might have fallen in love. Judah follows the thread across France to a museum in Paris, and hands the little house to an elderly woman named Marie-Laure. Alone, Marie-Laure opens the model her long-dead father built, and finds, resting inside, the iron key she pressed into a German boy's hand in 1944. He kept it. For the rest of his short life, he kept it. 2 lives quietly complete their arcs. Somewhere off the coast of Saint-Malo, in a grotto flooded twice a day by the tide, the sea of flames still lies where Marie-Laure left it. A lump of blue fire crusted now with barnacles and algae, crawled over by snails, keeping its curse and its immortality to itself, unrecovered. And outside Berlin, Frederick, the boy who once said, "I will not," and paid with his mind, sits by a window in his mother's care, drawing the same spiral over and over, while she quietly receives the bird print Werner carried for him through the whole war. The diamond outlasts everyone who chased it, and so, it turns out, does a single act of decency by a broken boy. One last leap, to a spring morning in 2014. Marie-Laure is an old woman now, a celebrated scientist, walking through a Paris garden with her young grandson. All around her, unseen and unfelt, the air is full of transmissions, voices, songs, messages, the invisible light that has run through this whole story from the first broadcast to the last. She thinks of everyone she has loved and lost, and she does not believe they are simply gone. The air, she thinks, is a library, holding the record of every life lived, every word ever spoken, still traveling outward forever. Her father, her great-uncle, a white-haired German boy, all of them still moving through the world she cannot see. We rise again, the story tells us, in the grass, in the flowers, in songs. So what does all the light we cannot see leave in your hands? 2 children who never chose their war, connected across it by nothing but radio waves and a dead man's voice. A girl who learned to see a world she'd lost, and a boy who learned, one single time, to disobey the machine that owned him and died for it. Anthony Doerr's point is quiet and enormous. The most important forces in a human life are the ones we cannot see: cruelty and courage, love and memory. The choice to open your eyes when everyone around you is closing theirs. Werner's whole redemption lasts less than a day, and it outlives him by 70 years. That is the light we cannot see, and it may be the only light that lasts. Open your eyes and see what you can with them before they close forever.